Well, thank you for joining us again today for our Business and Community Series. I am Katie Eaton. I'm the president of the Michigan City Chamber of Commerce, and we are so fortunate today to have with us Craig Dwight, chairman and CEO of Horizon Bank, headquartered here in Michigan City, to join us to talk about some reflections on 2020 and also looking forward to 2021. Craig, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Katie, I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for asking me.
So I want to get started with really just making sure that our audience, our members know who you are and what Horizon does. So we'll kick it off here with maybe a brief introduction about yourself, some history and how you got to where you are now, and then you can jump over to telling us all about Horizon and where you guys are at right now.
Well, Katie, I'm a Michigan City native. I grew up here, went to school here, elementary through high school. I'm the Michigan City Rogers Raider graduate, but I support the Michigan school system all the way. Graduated from Indiana University, and then came out of school into banking 41 years ago. It's been a wonderful career. I've served in most positions in the bank. I was a teller, customer service rep, branch manager, mortgage lender, commercial lender, senior lender, then executive officer, and then president, CEO for the last 22 years. So it's been a good ride. Horizon Bank's been here for 147 years in our community since 1873. It's kind of cool to be part of that heritage. We're proud to be in this community. It's been a great support of our bank, and hopefully we're returning the same back to the community.
Yeah, 147 years. That's amazing. The chamber is 100 years old, so we're not that far from. There's not a whole lot of businesses and organizations in the area that can say they're over 100 years old. So it's
That's
definitely
cool.
nice to. Yeah, it is pretty cool to be a part of that group for sure. So, tell us how far is the reach for Horizon Bank? Where are you guys located? Where do you have branches? What's your market look like?
Well, 22 years ago, we were primarily just in LaPorte County. And so we expanded outside of our legacy market into Porter, Northwest Indiana. And during that time period, we've grown to $5.7 billion in total assets. We're now throughout Michigan and Indiana, as far south as Columbus, Indiana, and as far north as Midland, Michigan, home of Dow Chemical. And then we're as far east in Troy, Michigan, just northwest of Detroit. Our plans are to continue to expand both in Michigan and Indiana. Those are our primary markets, but we're opening up Ohio as well as Illinois for the longer term. So
Yeah,
it's exciting.
yes, it is. I know we definitely here locally, we have watched you kind of have some acquisitions over the last few years. Have you had any this year, and are you looking, or is that still your projection is by acquisition?
Well, acquisitions have been on hold this year for a lot of good reasons. Just it's
Yeah.
difficult to conduct due diligence and to complete a data processing conversion under the current circumstances. But we've done 14 acquisitions the last 12 years, 6 the last 4 years. That's been a primary driver of our growth. We try to shoot for 50% of our growth through acquisitions and mergers, and the other 50% through organic growth. And organic growth comes from attracting and retaining just really top talent, people who are self-motivators, work independently, get the job done, they enjoy what they do, and they're good at what they do. And so we're lucky to have both the acquisitions and the top talent to move us forward.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely would agree here at the chamber. Your talented employees are out in the community very often.
Good.
Yeah, it's great to see them out and about and making connections, building that network, and bringing that business back to you guys. But also, so much that you guys do in the community. Talk a little bit about some of the pieces that you guys have done in 2020 to give back to the community. In probably numerous communities. We know you're located here in Michigan City, but where you have branches, talk about how that's been going this year.
Well, Katie, first of all, we're proud to be headquartered, as mentioned earlier, in Michigan City and LaPorte County. So we do give more dollars and time to this area, and we think that's part of our responsibility. This is our corporate headquarters. And so this year alone, we've given over $700,000 to not-for-profit organizations. There's been a huge need. The increase has been up. For the prior year, we gave about $500,000. So we're fortunate we have that kind of cash flow to do that and support our communities. I'm really proud of our team through this COVID-19 pandemic. the changes for all of us have been dramatic. You know, the social distancing, you know, right now we are open for appointment only in our lobbies, but you can call right at the front door, the numbers on the door to get in. So we're not restricting the traffic, just trying to limit the traffic to come in. But during that time, we processed $310 million, 2,700 PPP loans. We did that in about 3 weeks. That totals our total commercial loan production in a year. So our team was extremely swamped. And I'm amazed how fast even the SBA U.S. government moved to get that program out there. And PPP did work. Most of the money went to small businesses. We're really a small business lender. It helped bridge that gap when we were closed during the summertime. The program was, you know, viable, and you know, we're hearing rumors it's going to come out again shortly, round 3, which I hope it does, as well as stimulus checks. And we processed over $40 million of stimulus checks as well in the month of May. And what's challenging about that, the U.S. government took their previous year-end tax return data and mailed the checks out accordingly and sent them to the banks. And during that time period, we have about a 5% attrition rate every year where customers move, pass away. So we took it seriously to try to find those people, to give them their checks. And so that took a lot of time from our backroom operations to make sure that the stimulus checks are put in the hands of the customers. So to see our team step up and do that, I think they acquired that work ethic from all the acquisitions we've done. Whenever you do an acquisition, that's above your normal day-to-day job. So they were able to step it up, and you know, my hat's to all of them for helping our customers and our community get through this.
Yeah, so they definitely maybe have been in getting some training earlier on to deal with some of the additional pressures that you guys have had on your staff over this last year.
Yeah, we didn't know it, but yeah, the banking regulators required all banks to have a pandemic plan probably 10 years ago. What's interesting, Katie, we actually went through our annual pandemic exercise in February, and then in March we shut down, and so we were the timing was well for us, and we were prepared going into it. You know, we opened up 4 call centers. We had 2, and the reason we did that was to make sure that we split our teams out so the pandemic would not affect any individual, but to still provide the same service level in case you know, the COVID-19 virus came in and affected one group of employees. And so, you know, not only did we have to deal with the government program, we had to deal with, you know, protection and ongoing continuity of our business, and when we did that, and so did everybody else. We're just like all the other businesses out there. So
yeah, yeah. So talk a little bit more about some of those operational changes that had to take place in order to, you know, maintain that safety for your employees.
Yeah, we had about 50% of our employees work remotely within about 2-week time period. So one, you have to have the capacity in your systems. We had a belief that we needed to have fiber cables at all of our branches and top internet capacity to serve not only the customers and so forth, but we were pushing a lot of training through video. So that gave us the pipeline to allow our employees, or advisors as we call them, to go home and work remotely. In the state of Michigan, as you probably know, they require anyone who can work from home has to work from home. And we had a few blips there. We had a couple of advisors. We didn't get home right away, but we eventually got them home. But it took us a couple of days to do that. The governor, Whitcomb, passed or signed the executive order on Monday. It was effective Wednesday, so it gave us 2 days to implement. So we got it done by Friday. So we're following the protocols. But just in general, we had A, B teams or red-blue teams where the A team was at work, B team was at home, and we'd rotate that in and out as well. And what's interesting is from March until October 31st, we only had 9 employees who had to stay home because of COVID-19, or they were in contact with somebody in their household who had COVID-19 for the 14-day restriction period. But from November 1st until now, we've had over 70 employees. Wow. So the positivity rate definitely has jumped up, and it's made it even more challenging just to manage the branch levels, the operational teams, and to keep people in their jobs, to keep things going. We're doing it. The numbers are coming back down, which is good to see, but we have another holiday coming up here shortly, and I'm sure there'll be another spike after that.
Yeah, hopefully not. You know, I definitely think the spike that we are expecting after the Thanksgiving holiday wasn't as high as if you look across the state at some of those numbers. But so other issues that come up with a lot of employers with the number of employees that you guys have, often, especially this year, has been childcare. Have you guys seen some of those issues with employees not being able to, and how did you handle some of those conversations with employees?
Yeah, we doubled the available sick time that you got paid for to stay home. It's interesting, during the summertime, it wasn't an issue, but it was when the school sessions that came back this fall, it became a bigger problem and a challenge. We had several employees who did take advantage of the full stay at home and get paid. Others were able to work out and come back to work and find daycare. A lot of grandparents are stepping it up and providing that daycare because, as you know, childcare providers have either closed down or were concerned with the COVID-19 virus, so they're restricting the number of children in their daycare. We've lost 2 employees out of over 800 because they were not able to come back, and we had to stay home for the childcare. Unfortunate. We've offered them jobs to come back when they're ready to come back, but 2 out of 800 is not bad, but still it's a challenge. And I think it's a challenge for any person with school-age children at home, including college children. My wife and I are empty nesters, so it's not as difficult for us, but we see it in our children and our grandchildren. So it is a challenge out there. But the good news is, that we got a vaccine out. We're getting close to the other side, and our job right now is let's get to the other side.
Yes, for sure. And, I want to just mention, I recently saw the some marketing that came out from the Boys and Girls Club here in LaPorte County, one of those organizations that has definitely stepped up to try to help with some of those childcare initiatives, being able to have students come in during the day when Michigan City area schools is on virtual learning right now, and you guys making a donation to them so that they can continue with some of those programs that they're offering to just relieve that from parents in the area. So
that's actually a good story. I was on a conference call with the Economic Development Group, and Barbara Easton Watkins, our school superintendent, who I'm a big fan of, mentioned the Boys and Girls Club needing some help. So I called the director, and to her surprise, we donated some money. And it's kind of nice when they get the call versus having to call us. So
yes, much needed. Yeah, amazing programs that they have there, and helping many parents across the community. So thank you for those contributions that you're making. So some other achievements, I want you to be able to brag about yourself and Horizon. So some other awards that you guys have had this year. Most recently, I think you guys were recognized for a performance powerhouse in the baking industry. Talk a little bit about what that means to you guys.
That award was just received this week, Katie, so you're an avid reader. Thank you. We're recognized of all publicly traded banks between $1 and $10 billion in size. We were ranked number 3rd in the nation for performance over the last 5 years. Performance included growth, shareholder returns. We were ranked number 5th nationwide for technology and our investment in technology, which I thought was pretty cool, but we always think we're not keeping up with it. So we were doing better than we thought. And then we were 4th in the nation for consumer and commercial lending. And that's all publicly traded banks, again, between $1 and $10 billion. So, once again, hats off to our entire team. They wear so many different hats. They get this, dealing with the COVID virus this year, and they're still coming out with some awards. So pretty cool.
Yeah, and then an award for yourself that you received earlier this year from the Indiana Bankers Association. Were you listed in their Excellence Award? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, yeah, as you get older, I guess they have to find someone to get an award to, Katie. So it was my turn. I'm honored to receive that recognition. It's a Lifetime Excellence in Banking Award, and Indiana Bankers Association has been great advocates for the banking industry, the financial institution industry in our state. I was on the board for a while, so it's just a really good organization. So to be honored by them is truly a pleasure and honor.
Yeah, and I believe the Banking Association here in Indiana recently partnered with Purdue Northwest in regards to some banking programming there at the university for just talent attraction and talent growth for the banking industry a little bit, right?
Yeah, one of our challenges in our industry, and it's attracting younger people into the industry. We probably have an image of being stale and not contemporary. And I think that's changing quite a bit. And we're fortunate that With Indiana Bankers Association, Purdue Northwest, and now have a degree for future bankers. We contributed a $50,000 fund under Bob DeBeja, our director emeritus, who passed away last year, to establish a scholarship. We also entered into a internship program with Calumet College, where we're providing 2 interns right now with jobs. We're paying them a fair rate, and we're providing them meaningful experience in the banking industry, hopefully to attract them back, to keep that talent locally. Our university have done a really good job in our school systems in general of preparing people for the technology age. We can talk about technology all we want, but you need the talent to embrace it. You need the talent that's not afraid, probably more your generation than my generation, Katie, but it's exciting to see them. By example, we have a online chat, and 85% of our chats are answered by bots. Like, I didn't even know what a bot was 40 years ago when I got into banking. And to see them program it, their challenge is how many can we answer through artificial intelligence to help improve the experience of the customer so the responses are faster. And of course, you can always talk to a person as well, but the technology is just absolutely amazing. When I got into banking, we managed 500,000 in assets per employee, and today it's closer to 6 million in assets per employee. Best in class is about 10 million, so we have a ways to go, but it's all through technology. Yeah. It's not about shrinking the head count. It's about technology and growing and doing more with the people you have.
Yeah, the automation, intelligence across every industry sector is definitely the future, and it is here now, but it's going to continue into the future.
I mean, have you Zoomed before this year? I haven't, so.
I don't think I had, and yeah, now we own Zoom here at the chamber, and we Zoom all the time.
We FaceTime with my grandchildren, but.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit about talent attraction. Talk about Horizon's partnership with the local high schools here as well, and how you're building that partnership.
Yeah, and this is a credit to Michigan City Schools Superintendent Dr. Barbara Watkins again. She has created several programs with local industry to develop a feeder system for their future employees. And for the bank, it's not only a feeder system, but it's also an educational tool about the importance of financial awareness. That's part of our curriculum out there. Our students have been some bright people. They're going to be successful no matter what they're going to do in life. And so we've been impressed by that. The quality of the talent that they provided to manage that branch we have in the school, both in Michigan City and LaPorte, is phenomenal. So we do produce a good quality student. And every so often I run into people who are negative about the school systems, and you got to stop doing that. We produce some really good talent. So
we sure do, for sure. So, well, let's talk about ideas and vision for 2021. I know we're all very kind of optimistic, or want to be optimistic about what 2021 is going to look like. I'm sure you guys are as well. Talk about some goals that you guys have for 2021, and maybe some forethought into banking industry rates, some of the things you might see happening in 2021.
Pretty broad question there.
Yeah.
2021, I think the first step is let's get through the pandemic, come out the other side. May or June is our estimate. Our pipelines for commercial lending are already starting to build, so if we're seeing confidence come back in. Today's environment is the banks have excess cash on hand. Businesses are not spending. Consumers are holding on to their cash. Our costs are lower for a lot of reasons. And so we're flush in deposits. We have money to loan. That's not an issue. We need the demand to pick back up. And people are just holding back a little bit until they see what happens May and June. But again, we're seeing pipelines pick up, which I think is a positive thing. Our goals at Horizon Bank is to be $7 to $10 billion in total assets the next 3 years. We're $5.7 billion today. Continuing to grow in Indiana and Michigan, with Illinois and Ohio as secondary markets to look forward. From an interest rate perspective, Federal Reserve Bank has been on hold for low interest rates. Great time to refinance your homes. 2.5% 30-year fixed rates. It's incredible. Wall Street Journal had an article last week, should you borrow against your house and put the money in the market? I would not advise that, but people are thinking about that arbitrage, which does exist today. We hit record volume and mortgage volumes through just, we're projecting we'll be at 700 million in production this year. Our previous record was 550 million. So our mortgage teams are exhausted. They're working long hours to close and approve the loans. We are still closing and approving the loans within 24 hours approval and closing under 30 days. Most of our competition's out 60 days because the pipelines are so full.
Yeah.
So I see low rates continuing throughout 2021. 2022, you might start to see some increases, at least in long-term rates, maybe not short-term.
Yeah. So with some of your employees doing the remote work, do you see some of that carrying through as maybe a permanent practice that you guys will have in your operations, or are you ready to bring them all back into the office?
Well, I miss the people contact. I've been coming to work every day, and I think that's part of leading by example. But I have a closed door. I'm safe, so I'm not a frontline person. They're really the ones that deal with it day to day. You're going to see a change in work environment. Again, the Wall Street Journal had an article on this as well that said 3-2-2 will be the future work week. 3 days in the office, 2 at home, and 2 days off. And that's primarily the metropolitan areas. They're going to start reducing their need for office space in Chicago, Detroit, et cetera, Indianapolis, and work from home more often. We're lucky we'll relive. The Illinois influx during this pandemic has helped our restaurants out. I think that's going to be a permanent structure. Our home sales people are getting above asking price. Homes are going on the market and selling in 24 hours. I think that demand will be here for a couple of years in Northwest Indiana. Then you add to that the double track, the south extension for Lake County are all positive for Northwest Indiana. So I see growth happening here. Great quality of life. I hope we can maintain that quality.
Yes, for sure. So yeah, what else are you optimistic about for 2021? And maybe even on a personal level, but really, what do you, for Michigan City and for yourself, what are you optimistic about in 2021?
I'm optimistic about we'll get through this COVID virus together. My heart goes out for those who've lost people during this pandemic. It's been a challenge for multiple reasons. So we're going to settle down. We plan to have one big party at the bank. I call it a mask burning party, hopefully in June or July, and get back to norm. So it's coming. It's our time for our generation to step it up. We are doing it. We're getting through this. We'll have a lot of stories down the road. Michigan City is positioned extremely well for future growth. We've got a great police force, great fire department, great city government, great chamber, school system. We do need to expand in housing. I know Clarence is working on plans in housing. I know our county is as a whole. There hasn't really been a major development in housing for a while in our county, so hopefully we can assist in that aspect. So things are heading in the right direction. I like where we're going. I've been positive about Michigan City for some time now, and it's paying off.
Yeah, we're definitely, I like the idea of a party. We every year, Horizon has been very gracious to host our holiday mixer each year, and we missed that terribly this year, but hopefully we'll be able to bring that back next December and be able to celebrate with you an amazing year.
We have to do a Christmas in July.
Yeah, hey, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, let's do that. I like that.
Yeah, that sounds good. We can use some outdoor space as well, make everybody feel real safe. Sounds good. For sure. Just before we part, tell everybody how they can get a hold of somebody at Horizon Bank if they're interested in learning more about what you guys have to offer. Where can they reach you? All of that.
You can call me 219-873-2725 or email me Dwight, DWIGHT @horizonbank.com. I do answer my emails. I do answer my own phone. So
yes, you do. Yes.
Great start.
Yes. Well, again, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today in this conversation and talking a little bit about what you guys have gone through over this last year, but then definitely looking at 2021 is a very hopeful year, and we're ready to party with you when that time comes for sure. And I just thank you again for joining us today.
Katie, thanks for everything you do for the Chamber in Michigan City and for having me on your show today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday.
You too.